I didn't make it to you this week at all. I'm sorry. I left you all stranded. I didn't do a Saturday night one. I was going to. I was busy. I was working. I was working. Let's just say I was working. Stuff that I enjoy doing. It's like a hobby to me. I enjoy it. All right. So Mr. Bailey reached out to me, and I was thinking about this. I should put this right up front. For one, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach me out. Some of you do have my phone number. You can text me. One of those things I always talk about. I never answer my phone. I never hear my phone because my phone is always on silent. So sometimes text is the best. Pictures are good. And you can always email me. I put it in the description below. So, and then what I wanted to recommend was with some of these emails, I feel like I kind of get this reoccurring a little bit, not a lot. In the email, if you can give me a little bit of description. So I'm going to read this, and so my mind can go, so I can be a little more detailed for you. So Bailey writes, "Hey Dave, my name is Bailey." He says, "I was wondering what you recommend on how to get started in the garage door business." Excuse me, I got a little bit of stuffiness today. I've got contractor experience, laying tile, home remodel. What's up, Mr. Major? Hello. Thanks for being here. And experience laying tile, home remodels, and want to step into the new field like garage doors. I would like some tips on how I can get into this field and get working for myself. If you do consult calls or anything or shorts, I'd like to do that as well. So I basically, the way I kind of look at, so for Bailey, like I do phone calls. I try to select certain ones. So once we can kind of, it's almost, I kind of got to build a little bit of a relationship with you. You know what I mean? To make sure, how do I say it? Because basically I don't normally charge. And I love helping you guys, but I also, my time is, there's only so many hours in a day. But the problem with like this email right here, I'm so happy that Bailey sent it to me. But there's a lot of greatness here. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of going, okay, well, do you have a truck? Do you have a building? Do you have a house? Are you renting an apartment? Do you have a shed? Are you gonna work out of somebody's backyard? The list can go on and on. So I did a generic little list. And so if you want to get started, I kind of brainstormed a little bit on it. And I thought this was, some of the stuff I came up with. But if you want to get started in the garage door business, it all depends on how fast you want to go. You know what I mean? When I jumped into the garage door business, I went really fast. I ended up knocking on a ton of commercial, meeting them face to face. So that's another thing too. With an email like this, I don't really know if are you thinking about going into commercial? Some things too that, I always respect people. So like I'm not gonna throw you under the bus. That's why like I don't use Bailey's last name, because like for instance, I don't know what kind of capital you're working with. Are you starting from nothing? Even age is a good thing, right? Because if you're probably an older fart like me, I might say stuff differently than if you're a young buck. So anyways, so I went into a lot of construction. So like when we first started out, we were 50-50. Not saying that's the way you got to go. Not even saying that's the way I probably go to this day. I'd probably do residential. And what I've noticed with people is I've noticed that people, I got some stuff out there that I list just to test waters, to play with, like on Marketplace and things like that. And I noticed that I get people, they want the product, right? Because I try to push more product, but they want installs. They want like, well, how much do you charge to install? And so what I'm thinking is, my brain tells me what the market is out there. People are looking for affordability. They're looking for cheap. They're looking for discount. And so, hi, Rachel. Hope you're doing good tonight on this Sunday. And I got you. I haven't seen you in a while. Is it Yunamut 2? I'm sorry if I say it wrong. I know that I've seen that symbol though, your picture. I haven't seen you in a while. So I'll read. I'll get to that in a second. How do you get into new construction jobs? I think that's a great question. So, anyways, you just got to remember, like a lot of these, what I would do, and if you guys don't mind, if you're here, hit that thumbs up if you don't mind. Just helps bring more people in, more conversation, more questions, which I love. I love answering these for you guys. That's much appreciated. So, anyways, I look at it like this. I'd probably do more residential, and what I would do is I'd use the box stores to my advantage. Now, do the box stores have problems? They not offer as good a product? Absolutely, absolutely. But if you're just starting out, you're kind of lost already. You know what I mean? Like you don't even know where to start. And what I see with a lot of the business starting and whatnot is that I want everybody to experience it. I want them to get out there. I want them to get their hands. I want them to get on their knees. I want them to deal with those dirty photo eyes, and electrical problems and corrosion and the cat chewed up the wires, because I want to make sure that you're proven, right? You're like, I really enjoy this. Like I'm super stoked. I'm loving it. I'm already, 3 months, 6 months in, and I'm still loving this. And before you get into all this, because see, I know I did this myself, right? You think you got to have the truck, you think you got to have the right tools. You got, if I show up with Ryobi, they're not gonna, they're gonna kick me off the job. Now, when it comes to residential are the most easiest customers to deal with. They are so easy. Do they complain a lot? Absolutely. Will you have some callbacks? Absolutely. But they are so easy to work over in a sense because they just want their stuff fixed and they want it to go up and down and work and do what it's supposed to do. So just take that with a grain of salt. So how do you get new construction jobs? New construction is really tough. So like with the thumbnail of this one, that's a job that we're doing for a builder. And new construction is a real bear because you typically need somebody to fall off the wagon. So either you got to be there, right? Like, I don't know, once a month or let's say, or, every 2 or 3 months, you got to be sitting there kind of throwing stuff at them. Because eventually when somebody drops the ball or they're looking for a lower bid, they're going to consider that, right? They're going to go, because I know we've had builders that will say the same thing, I got somebody that's, been knocking on my door, and I got a price from them. And it's a whole cat and mouse game. It really is. It's kind of a joke because, yeah, they gave you a low price. That's just because they want to get in your pockets. You know what I mean? And you know what we offer. You know what I mean? We offer a competitive price. We're fair. We show up. We do the job. But the big thing is you almost have to have like a salesperson or yourself. You have to get, you got to send you can send some letters out sometimes with some business cards. And you might send out 100 and might get one. You know what I mean? It's just the way it goes. And you might send out the same 100 again and you might get two or something because it just depends on what that person's feeling, right? Because everybody is emotional. So if they're having a problem with another garage door company, they might bring you in. The big thing is just sometimes you got to answer the phone. You know what I mean? Because if they call and they, you're not answering the phone all the time, that can be a big turnoff for them. But you just got to kind of get out there. New construction, and some of these home builders are not the best because they are slow to pay. They'll jerk you around. You know what I mean? My one buddy used to install garage doors, which was very silly, but the guy was huge. I don't know how many homes he did a month, but it was huge. And he had to work on I think a 6-foot ladder or taller. I mean, basically what I'm saying is if you're 5'9" or 6 foot, you could walk under the garage door because they didn't backfill the garage in yet with dirt. That's just what they did. I even tried to get in with that guy and I couldn't make a dent. Well, these guys, that's what they had to do because this guy was just turning these houses so fast and that's what he wanted. And he got what he wanted. And it was really silly. Let's see here. Oh, shoot. I'm going to call Mr. I'm gonna call you Mr. Nut because that's what I could say. Um, so always watching your video. Got a door and dot company in Chicago. Chicago, man, dude, you should like. Do you do any videos in Chicago? Because I don't know if you guys ever follow him or hear of him. I think it's called Ford Boss. It's a guy that he has. I think he's working for a mechanic place down there now. He's like 50-50 owners, and he's just talking about big time in Chicago about all the immigrants coming in and the problems they're having. And I'm just like, he's like the only person I kind of like I trust because he's like not the paparazzi, you know. He's not the media. He's like his own gig. And so I just wondered if it's that bad down there, you know, because I feel like I just seen a spell around here somewhere, and I was like, boy, these people, they don't fit, man. I mean, they you ever just see somebody that you just go, I don't even want to talk to, I don't want to make eye contact, like just go away. Like these people just seemed, there was three of them. It was a guy, two guys, and one girl, and they just seemed real suspicious, man. Like I just was like, you guys aren't from around here, are you? And I thought, I mean, they just, I don't know. They walking out with you know hands full of grocery or whatever in their bags, but it just the way the guy was acting and watching, and I kept thinking there was another vehicle that their door was open. I don't know if it was staged, and I kept thinking, is he gonna jump in that van and try to steal it or something? I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I could be just totally wrong, but I just keep hearing these things about they're still being shipped in and down there in Chicago, and I just go, oh my gosh, man, this has got to be horrible. Yeah, started in the city and now getting pushed out. Like I said, I'm sure it's everywhere. You know what I mean? I just can't, you know. And so Mr. Nut, I'm gonna call you Mr. Nut. Do you do you see any good of it? Does it seem like it's making your community better, or do you feel safer, or you know what I'm saying? Like I mean, when I seen that little crowd, it was only like three of them. Like I said, I just went, whoa. I said, man, I said, these people seem a little rough. Like I just went, I don't know, man. Like something seems up. I don't know what, you know. Oh yeah, Mr. JKR, Mr. Turkey, Mr. Turkey. Happy St. Patty's Day. Yes. Hope you got your Irish on. I didn't even, honestly, I forgot about it. I kind of just went over. I don't do the drinking or anything like that, so I kind of just, I'm really weird. I'm just really weird. There's a lot of things I don't know, I don't celebrate. Something wife sent me. Threw me off for a second. Irishan, I send you an email with so many questions. I'm about to pull the trigger on going on my own, dog. What's up, man? Which did you I got an email still that's in the Prime, but the person told me not to share it. So I don't know if that's you. I am going to respect that, but I think what I might do is I might make a generic video to share, but not talking any specifics about anybody. So it can be just random. And that was on, I think we were talking about commission-based stuff for salesmen and things of that nature. So I think what I'm doing though is I'm going to actually do it with the Wifetron, because me and her can kind of bounce back and forth with stuff. And since she used to work at a retail store that dealt with that quite heavily, we've tried that in the business and we've had blowback. So I don't know. We're gonna, you know. But like I said, Mr. Turkey, just make sure, man. Like I said, it's easy to jump in and you get kind of burned. So depending on what and like I said, it all depends. You know, I'm doing this is jokingly, but if you live in your parents' basement, it's very easy to do. But if you got a lot of bills and, you know, like I'm reading in a forum today, somebody's, you know, water and sewer bills going up. I mean, inflation is just getting rampant. And we've seen a little spike, and I think in the businesses, I've seen a little spike, and now it's really plateaued out and almost kind of dived back down. And I was telling the waifatron, I said, do you think this was due to people getting their taxes back? And she goes, you might be right. And I said, because I said we've had a couple, seems like obviously when the weather gets nice, things pick up dramatically. But I said, it's been pretty quiet for about almost, a few days, a week now. And I said, it's just kind of weird how things are just, so, you know, we've seen the hype with the Bitcoin, and now Bitcoin's kind of going down. You know what I mean? We don't know what's going to happen. We don't. And like I said, it's one of those things. Oh shoot, man! I got a whole bunch on here. I wasn't scrolling down. I'm sorry. So I just used caution because, like I said, when I started out my business, I went just hog wild, and then the crash where we could be at. I started in '06, and what was it? '07, '08 is when everything crashed. And man, I tell you, the residential went for like 5 years. That's just how it was around here, anyways. 5 to 6 years, residential went poof. The commercial kind of kept us going, but I had to go get another job. I went back to one of my old jobs. And then, like I said, we had a contractor that ended up not paying us $10,000. So now I owe my vendor this $10,000. Luckily, they still worked with me. Tell you what, it was tough. So it's just if you're gonna jump out, I think when I started, I probably had maybe $1,000 or $3,000, and that was even super hard because what happens is a lot of times what people don't see is like you'll start growing, right? And you start growing, well, then you start, you got to like, also now you got to buy a garage door for Mrs. Jones. Then you got to buy a garage door for Joe. And then you I got to buy a garage door for this guy. And then if you don't do the silly part like I was, if you're not collecting half down and keeping up on all that to make sure that money and make sure those checks clear, because that's happened to me many a times, checks don't clear. You know what I mean? And then it's like a phone call. Hey, that check. Oh, yeah. Well, it should be good now. Try to run it through. And that can all be tricky, or the credit card gets declined, or you find out in your stack of $100 bills, a couple of them are fake. Had to happen. And so, you start getting spread out. Well, you got all this money going out too. And then now you got to, I got to buy gas. Holy crap. The truck just got a flat tire. Oh my gosh. The transmission just blew out of the truck. It can just come at you, bam, really fast. Like I said, to me, it's almost like it's sometimes it's never a problem to sell, it's to deliver. That's the problem sometimes. And that's, your money can just dwindle away. So like if you were starting out, if you just asked me generically, and this is just for my area, if you were like, hey, I'm starting out, where do I gotta be? I don't know why, but $10,000 comes right to my head. That's my first, like, you need to start out with $10,000. That's just, you got $10,000 saved. You got a mediocre pickup truck or whatever it is, you know what I mean? That does, you got some kind of ladder rack. You got a trailer to haul the stuff around for scrap metal. The garage doors are longer, blah, blah, blah. You got some basic stuff, and you're going to work from your house. You're not going to have overhead. 10,000 comes right to my head, just first thing. Oh yeah, it's not good. Started dun dun dun. Mr. Rich is here. Cheers. What'd you got? Oh yeah, St. Patrick's. I see what you got. That's weird. I got my exit sign in there. It looked funny. I was like, how do you do an exit sign backwards? It's not. Still feel the same. Always got to double look over your shoulder and make sure you have your truck locked and roll too deep down there. Oh, yeah. That's how we got a place up here. We call it the Heights. We actually kind of got an area that we don't even, it was a very, very hard decision in a sense to make, but I finally pulled the trigger with the secretaries at one point, and I said, look, I said, here's the thing. I said, we cannot service this area. I said, the guys always have to lock their trucks. They always have to be looking over their shoulders. Some of them don't have their pow carry stuff. You people are just the roads are horrendous. I mean, they'd be better off in these areas to turn them into gravel roads. The city is so corrupt. I know this because years ago I worked at their DPW, and this is what got me. I'm working in the DPW. I go up in a scissor lift, right? This building's all pitch black. There's like no electricity on in this place. I mean, they got power, but no lights are on. And I'm up there working on a garage door spring, big one, big DPW. You know how it is. You can already smell it. I know you can. And so I'm up there working, right? And I'm like looking over my shoulder, and I'm like, dang, I go, is that do they got like an inside waterfall or something? Like I can see a gaping hole and I see water dripping in. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, they must be, like a waterfall, like for employees or something, like, they throw your pennies in or something. I don't know, something cool. Well, then I finally get done, with the job, whatever. I'm working with another guy. I'm going to walk over and go check this thing out, right? I go look and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, that ain't no waterfall. That's a freaking hole in the roof. A size that Elvis Presley Cadillac would fit through. Holy crap. But then, yeah, I'm in there, right? And I'm looking over. Now, I worked at a DPW too, right? And you can't have no private vehicles parked inside, right? And there's this brand new, like, mind you, this is whatever, 10 years ago or something. There's a brand new Chrysler 300M sitting over there. Just shiny, beautiful rims. I mean, just brand spanking new. And I'm like, now who the heck owns that? Because whoever owns that, if they're running this place, this isn't adding up. I mean, this place it's dirty. It's dungeon. They got trucks from 1978 that they're using for patching the roads. Something's going on. Now, I understand taxes and that maybe on the decline, but there's grants out there. I mean, I know how this, like, come on. Like, it was so corrupt. And the people, like I said, they can really, like I said, I had the one lady that tried to trap me in her garage door. She kept shutting the garage door and I kept hitting the reverse. And she's like, no. She's like, come in here. She's like, they're watching us. And I'm like, who? I'm like, I hope they're watching us because I'm scared. Oh, man. You sound a lot like me, Mr. Rich B. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's Chase say here? He says, getting started out, I used old parts from the scrap bins. Ooh, that's cool. There's a lot of stuff you can get from scrap when you're doing doors that you can salvage a lot. You can save yourself a lot of money. Springs from 1 to 2 year old if they look good. The springs, I never did that. I couldn't chance the springs, but I have done it slightly. Where like if I did the door and it was like 2 weeks old, I yanked the springs. Yeah, I yanked the springs. Good looking drums easily. I've used drums, I've used struts, I've used shafts. If they're not all rusty and crusty and all chewed up, I've had customers sit there when they're talking to me, stare at them, and they see the indents, but they don't even know. They're just like, I'm like sitting there like, are they going to notice? Why's that shaft got dents in it and you're charging me $40? Don't worry about it. It's the way it's supposed to be. That's where I lock my spring in, Bolts, nuts and bolts, yeah. I mean, heck yeah, man. Plates, etc. Sweet. Do it up, man. Like I said, I used to, when I was starting out, I mean, I was always yanking that stuff. I mean, that's free money. And drums and stuff, that stuff's great. Hinges, if they look good. Rollers never really lasted for me. Bottom brackets, top brackets. Side locks was another one. Anything that will look still pretty decent. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And, the thing is in a nutshell, you're kind of helping the environment. You're reusing it. If it's still functioning, it looks good. I mean, who cares? What's Mr. Nuts says? It says, what kind of marketing do you use as well? It's funny because I get a lot of people. We don't really have to. It's not that we shouldn't, but we don't do a lot of marketing. We have a lot of, I would say our stuff is very organic. If the economy tanks out, we might have to get creative. But we've been very fortunate, basically 18 years being in business. And like I said, it's probably been, I mean, it feels like you got to be in business probably like even at 10 years. I mean, it was just grinding and grinding and grinding. Probably when we hit about the 15-year mark is about when things seem like, you know what, we're pretty saturated. People, our stickers are everywhere. Um, People know the name. So, I mean, these are things too that you should think about if you're going to do a garage door business because, um, you know, there's just so many things that are planted. You know, we've planted so many seeds that it's like it just kind of happens on its own. You know, we got all these commercial customers. You know, some go away and some come on, and you know, like the residential, you know, they'll find us through like Google's basically the powerhouse of stuff. A lot of people, some people are shopping around, so it just all depends. You know, if you do good work, that's always very helpful. Word of mouth. I just had a job not too long ago, and they didn't even question me. You know, they just said, "Hey, you know, uh, what was his name? Bob? I think it was Rob. Rob liked you, you know, and he said really good things about you. So, you know, I mean, there was no sales pitch. It was just boom, you're in. And so we don't do a lot of marketing, at least for in the door business. Um, what's this? I don't do anymore, but it just helped me getting started. Oh, gotcha. Don't do it. Yeah, it's kind of weird how things change as you evolve in the garage door business. Um, like for me, we have a scrap bin, and I don't ever hardly ever jump in there. I mean, I'll look at stuff maybe to see what the guys are working with. You know, what kind of openers are failing, or just some old girls that I'm just like, oh, I remember installing those, but I don't go through it like I used to. We used to even take our scrap metal back. I don't do that anymore. We just have a bin now that the company comes, and we're just lucky enough they don't charge us to rent. That was the big thing. One company wanted to charge to rent the bin, and I was like, you know what, you know. So this company, they'll actually give us some money back too. It's not a lot, but it takes. I think as you start aging or longer in the business, you start realizing what you can use to your benefit. And sending two guys in a truck down to the scrapyard to possibly get a flat tire or two, and the liability of the trailer and an accident, and for $200, it just ain't worth it anymore. If you're just starting out, $200 goes a long ways. That's like today. That's your whatever. That's your pay or something, or going to get you for a couple days, and you want that $200. You need it. But you realize stuff starts fusing out when you start evolving up. You know what I mean? So it's like some stuff has to just dissolve. It's just kind of like, I forget what the saying is, like dissolving the bottom while you increase the top. There's something to that. What's Mr. When starting out, keep all the extra parts and make sure to scrap everything, man. Keep that money, especially when you're starting out. You gotta, there you go. Tony says growing costs money. Yeah, I mean, it's just you start learning what you can do and all that over time. It's just like I said, there were so many things I did different. Like I said, we used to get Speedway gas because of the rewards. I'd get normally an average about $100 a month in rewards, free gas. So it was like, heck yeah. It's like I just keep revolving that into it, into the business, and that just helped a lot. Because obviously, when you're starting out, it is even now. Don't get me wrong, fuel's your biggest expense. Well, it's not your biggest, but it's close. Seems like it kind of goes material. It seems like it goes payroll, fuel, and then like sometimes fuel and maintenance can be right there, depending on what you got for service vehicles. It's I don't know what this one was. Oh shoot. We might have to get Mr. Rich on it. Say, Mr. Rich, you're gonna have to get rid of some of these if they get too crazy. It says go away. It says just join the trade. Is this guy talking about? Just join the trade. Depends on what trade you're talking about. We're talking about garage doors. Dang, look at that. Rich just jumps right on him, man. And Rich, I owe you some beers. That's for sure. You're a good man, and I appreciate you. Whoops. Highlighted save to, I don't know what I just did. I hit a button. I apologize if I did anything, messed it up. Best marketing is to do a good job, and the word of mouth will do wonders. It really does. I know my competition. One of my competition was doing. He shouldn't have been doing it. He was doing gate operators, and I've had numerous of customers that were like, "Yeah, now he won't," and it's like, yeah, and that's the thing is you got to watch this stuff too, and that's why sometimes you got to watch the travel because you can do it when you first start out. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'll take it. Well, it's 2 hours away one way. Well, typically what's going to happen is, you have to remember everything you touch. Now you're responsible. So now if the door acts up or has a glitch or the power goes out and it wasn't even your fault, they're going to call you and they're going to, nowadays it's even easier for people to get on the keyboard and type everything and smash you and make bad things about you and post. And so that's why I'm always kind of like, stay close to the honey hive and, do good work, take your time, be honest. Do. Let's see here. Best marketing, yes. Do any third party work? No, I guess we have had some in the past. Um, I think the reason we've kind of got away from the third party is so this last job, let me give you an example. This last job I did, I it was for a condominium, and I think this is a common problem. This isn't the first time, but there's not one decision maker, and I can't tell you sometimes how much that can be a headache. Not every time, but like 9 times out of 10. If you need because if your business is kind of like anything like mine or smaller, you don't have the resources, you don't have the man or woman power to have somebody on the phone for 2, 3, 4, 6 hours of the day trying to hash all this crap out, right? And whatever's happening on the job, typically you have to be a part of because the whole scope of the work, right? You were out there, you shook the hands with the men or women or whoever's, and then what happens is they'll go around and they go talking. So like third parties, they're tough because they will throw you work. But I think, I could be wrong, Rich would probably know more on this than I do. They're kind of like, I think of like truckers, right? I think of truckers and I listen about these brokers. And some of these brokers are good, some are horrible, some don't give details, some of them forgot to, put stuff in there that might have been just an oops or was deliberate. And when you're dealing with a third party, um, you have to find ways to kind of manipulate them because, like, for one, I slipped up one day and I said something about material, and the guy was like, "Oh," he goes, I can give you a credit card, for material, but I can't give you one for like everything or labor." So I got his credit card, but the fact that he gave me a credit card, I was cool with. I was like, all right, I'm fine with this now. Like at least I know, because I want to feel some transaction here. You know what I mean? I want to feel some money flow to make sure this thing's valid. And he ended up I said, okay, so I put the card on file and the springs came in like within a day or two or something. And I went back up to the job right away. Boom, I got it done right. And I sent him I invoiced it. I used the credit card. Bam. And man, he called me up and I can't pay all this, and I said, well, hey, I said, it's all said and done. I said, we're all set. I said, that's material. And well, it's only approved for material. And I said, well, you're all set. Now I looking at this, he could have did recourse on me and he could have obviously pulled the money back because it's probably a credit card or something. But you got to know how to really work them, and you got to listen, and they always want somebody out right away, and it's not bad if I feel like it's not bad if you got time. For us, we typically we're like I said in this building, it seems like we are drowning more. We can't take care of all the work, so we have to turn something down, and that's kind of one of those ones that's like, we're not hurting. we're not taking on this because we have other customers that are just like, whatever, fix it. That's the customers I like. You know what I mean? Just take care of it. I trust you. You know, you do a good job, just handle it. So those are the customers I prefer because we do a good job, and then they know that if we call or they call or anything, we're on it. You know what I mean? And we're not even going to charge extra unless it's warranted that way. But you know, we're going to take care of them. I mean, we've been here 18 years, so we must be doing something, you know, something right. Word of mouth. But like I said, the third parties, you just use caution. I'm not saying they're all bad. It's just they're hard to track. They're hard to warranty. Like they're fishy. They're like brokers to me. They're just you gotta. So Mr. Chase says some of the best marketing comes through the referrals and leaving behind lots of cards for people. Um, 20, 20 bucks at Staples. Heck yeah, man, that's a good deal. Always asking for post review. Yep, that's always a great, you know, their views do help a lot, you know. That's okay, Rich. I don't really drink beer either, so I haven't. My fridge is. I did it. You know what's really funny? I'll tell you this story because Rich brings this up. I remember, you know, when younger, I didn't drink really, and I remember my first time started drinking because I went to it was like a garage door. I don't know what it was called. Like it's like a what's those called? BNBs or whatever, like business networking group, BNG or whatever. So I go to this and we go to like a hotel, we go to a banquet hall, and I'm in this place and I remember I'm not fitting in. I don't know these people, right? Well, then I recognize my competition's there. So I'm like, oh, well, they, you know, both got beers in their hands. So I'm like, all right, you know, gotta, you know, kind of fit in here, right? So I grab a beer and I started drinking it. I didn't really like it. You know what I mean? There's really not much alcohol that I do like. So I do it for social, right? But I still remember that was the first time. I mean, I was like really having a hard time drinking it. I was like, it's like this stuff. I'm more of a pop guy, unfortunately, but honestly, I got to keep chugging. I keep doing the water. That's what's in here. So I'm not much of a beer guy, but it was just funny when I went to that banquet thing. I remember for my competition, and I started talking to them because they were actually they were selling their business, and I was talking to them about purchasing it of some sort, but they also had another guy. They didn't know if he was going to take over. He was a nephew or something, and he ended up taking it over. Dun, dun, dun. So, Rich, I'll buy you coffee if you do coffee. I'm not much of a coffee guy either, though. So, I do some chocolate milk or water. I'll buy you a pop. There was Rich. I drink Coke. See, I'm a Pepsi guy, and I'm not real proud of that. But that darn Pepsi got me hooked. I got to get off of it because it's just not good for you. So Tony says, "I'm there with you, Rich. I drink Coke." What's it say? They will throw you under the bus. They will, man. This whole industry has changed a lot, and that's why I'm always trying to tell you, Kegger. I'm always trying to tell you, you new guys getting in, you know, be cautious because the market has changed a lot, and so you really need to stay close to home when you're doing your installs. So I wrote some other stuff on here. I think if I was starting out, getting back to Bailey here a little bit, you know, I honestly think to some degree, I wouldn't be afraid to install like these, you know, the box stores. And like I said, they're not as good. I know they're not, but at least if you can have them deliver it to the job site, which the customer takes care of all this, right? To say, you know, you get it delivered here, I'll install it, and you know, you can go from there. You know, if you want to take their old wood door away or something, maybe you charge $40. You got to cut it up. You take it home, you burn it, have bonfires. I don't know. You know, take it to the landfill. It's nice to offer the service because I know some people worry about that, right? Because some people get like anxiety. So if you have a trailer hitch extender, you can do that for a truck. If you got a van, which I'd recommend, I think a van would be a great start because they're cheap. Um, they're cheap to repair. Things fit in there, stay dry. You can lock them up, things like that. But I do more with these box stores. I talked to one of you guys out there down in I think Indiana. He says I still use box store openers, and it was amazing to me even when I used to install them for Lowe's that people just never question them. All they worried about was their problem, and all their focus was always my garage door doesn't go up and down when I hit the remote, and that's all they cared about. It was never like well, like I never had somebody come out there and touch the rail or touch the chain and go, gosh, well, why is it chain and then partially cable? You know what I mean? Like I never get that. It's like they want to come out, hit the button, it goes up and down. And if it's got any kind of technology, bells and whistles that they want, that's on them. You know what I mean? They care about, oh, I wanted this one because this one's got the camera. And I think my Amazon driver, I think he stole my chicken. I mean, you know, stuff like that, So I wouldn't be afraid to install their manufacturer's doors, when you're starting out. And like I said, I don't have a lot of details on it. So let me go back in here. I see. I don't know. Are you a Christian? I consider myself a Christian. It says, I'm a commercial lead tech. Look, oh, cool, Nathan. Oh, appreciate that, man. Commercial lead tech. Look, that's awesome. Look up to me. Hey, man, like I said, I'm here because of you guys. And like I said, I never had nobody to talk to when I first started out. I love interacting with you guys. I love the emails. I'm learning. I think Mr. Tanner, he just had that kid. Congrats on that. And he was sending me some stuff. Rich sends me stuff through email, so I got some of that opener stuff. Some of the LiftMaster commercial, which yeah, I seen some stuff I kind of liked. I'm seeing some stuff maybe I'm not kind of liking. So we'll see where that kind of goes. But I just my biggest hope is I can help you guys out with anything that's so you don't really have to go through so much mud and pain like I did because when I started out I had absolutely nobody. There was just nothing. There was no, like I said, the only thing I could do business wise was go to Barnes and Noble and get a book for 20, 30, $40 and read it. And some of it was like, oh, this is cool. Or some of this is like, this doesn't even apply to me. And so it's really tough. And so I like to always make sure I give everybody, I thought I heard a boogeyman. I like to make sure I give everybody kind of transparent what you're getting into. And it's never, like I always say, I never try to discourage anybody. I just want people to understand that I've been into this for so many years that there's a lot of things that you just don't think of. I mean, like maybe, where are you going to get your supplies from? Where's your location? Are you in a rural area? That's things you got to consider because, it seems like when you first start out, I was the same way. That's why I used to travel darn near like 2 hours to stuff one way, right? It was like, oh, wait, hey, we got a job. We got a job today. We got to go, and it was you hop in a truck and you just took off, right? And when I started out, I remember we had to do a lot of, we had to stop at so many gas stations. Rich is probably up there with me on this. Rich could do a cheers. And we used to stop at so many gas stations and have to get the street maps because maybe about 3 or 4 years in or something like that, we just started getting the GPS, right? The old Garmin's, the old square, ugly, primitive button that had to be updated every year. So we had to stop at gas station, get these maps and get their streets and, get directions. I mean, we spent so much time where now it's like, I just can't believe here's a phone and it takes us right there and oh my gosh, there's a cop on the way. So there's a speed trap. Oh, wow. I mean, all these things that have also made the business better, Let's see here. Commercial. Dun-dun-dun. What's up, Mr. Cody? Best amount of insurance cover for starting the business. So Cody, that's a great question, and I'm not the best. I'm not legal advice. I'm just some knucklehead on YouTube. Um, but it depends on what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying this genuinely from my heart because with residential, I've never had to use my insurance ever. Now we just had a commercial customer that had to have I say it wrong, accordion, I think is what it's called, for a van. So they knew what the insurance was. So commercial is a totally different animal. Residential, if you're just starting out, go be the weekend warrior. Go be the after hour warrior. Just go. Just go. Use common sense. There's a car in here in the garage. Don't be standing on the hood, putting up the garage door opener. Get the car out of there. Get it on the street. Get it away. You know what I mean? You leave a drip in their driveway, they complain about it. Get there and scrub it. Hire a power wash company if you have to. It's $200. Insurance is such a scam that people don't understand. It's for catastrophic, right? So it's going to take a lot of catastrophic for you to not want to pay this because you're going to pay so much. Now for us, I believe we were at $1 million. Now we're at 3 million for our commercial customers. But it's super expensive. I mean, like your vehicles being under a commercial loan, not a commercial loan, but a commercial, a business loan, very expensive. I mean, it's just mind boggling how much money. And, it's such a scam because I should watch what I'm saying. I'm gonna lead you down the wrong road. But let me give you an example. When I burnt my garage down, Thanksgiving Eve, yes, Thanksgiving Eve, at basically midnight, so Thanksgiving Day, pretty much. When I burnt my garage down, I had an insurance adjuster, right? The owner of the insurance company, that's Farm Bureau. The owner came out, right? The guy that runs it was just a little shack, probably about the size of this office, just a little shack. Guy comes out, and I'm a young kid, right? I don't know nothing about construction. I got a job. Think I'm maybe married to my first wife. I think. He comes out, he walks around the place, asks me a few questions, and he says, $10,000. You should be good. Okay. $10,000 sounds like a heck of a lot of money to me back in 2006, 2004. You know what I mean? Little garage, I think it's a 30 by 40, 20 by 40, something like that. And so anyways, my garage catches on fire. Snowmobile caught on fire while I was there working, and I'm just hustling, right? I got the weekend off, it's Thanksgiving. Place catching on fire. Weekend goes by. We got plenty of conversation now at Thanksgiving with all the family. I go and see the insurance guy. The insurance guy looks at me. He turns around in his chair like this. And he goes, "What did you do?" And I'm sitting there like, what did I do? Well, let me tell you what I did. I lost my grandpa's truck. It was my grandpa's and it was my dad's and it was mine. That burned up. There was no insurance on it. I lost 2 3-wheelers. I lost 2 snowmobiles. I lost my tractor. I can't remember if I had 1 or 2. I had a tractor. I lost a bunch of gear. Yeah, like I did this on purpose. Absolutely. Yep, this was my intent. Anyways, long story short, I get builders out there. The builders, 2 of them are at $36,000 to rebuild my garage. The lowest one's $32,000. I only got $10,000 worth of coverage. So I'm literally like, what am I like? How's this going to work? And they're like, well, go through the tools and see what you can clean up and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, but like how is this? Luckily, one of the contractors contacted them or him or whoever and told them, said, look, this kid, basically, he needs everything needs to be new. There was a fire. Everything got extinguished with water. Everything's rusty. He needs all new. So they agreed upon that. Then the worst part is they they go through, right? They only give you like 90% of whatever you go and buy. So you're running dry on money basically. So you purchase stuff, then you go to them and they give you a check, right? And it's not, for the full amount, it's for a little bit, 90% less, or not 10% less. It was horrible. I had to rebuild this garage with my, bless my uncle. You know what I mean? He's just got such a good heart. But I couldn't even afford a dumpster. I had to tear it down with sawzalls. So I have a very tarnished, and this guy told me, this one kid, the representative or whatever, he goes, we're going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to take care of it. I said, I'm only covered for 10 and I got bids at 32. So the number was way off. Now, yes, totally my fault, but I was a young kid. Like I said, but he's the owner. I figured, you know what I mean? So I always look at it most time with everything. You can handle it yourself. If you know your vehicle leaks, park on the road. You know your vehicle leaks, put cardboard under it in the driveway. Everything is normally very common sense. There's never, don't be hanging the opener with shoelace string. You know, I just haven't had where typically if it's going to catch on fire, you'd be like me, like I didn't manufacture this. You better go after the manufacturer. They got deep pockets. And if you got kind of a LLC basically in place, that's there to kind of protect you. But it's just, yes. Do I think it's good? Yes, you got to have it eventually. But it's such a scam in a sense that you can start, by the time you start buying a truck, you buy the tools, you buy the insurance, you buy the stickers, you buy the business cards. You're already out of business. You know what I mean? Because you're like, every month I'm spending, whatever, $5,000 and I'm only making $800 a month, So it's just, you got to watch it. Yeah, the quality control sucks these days too. Quality control has gone down horribly, horribly. I mean, I would go into these places and, this was pre cough syndrome, and they had a lot of temps, and you could tell there's people there that didn't really care and didn't, enjoy their job. But now, I mean, it's like taking a crystal ball and just shaking it, irritating. I mean, it's like, how it is, like swatting at a beehive, and they're just all over the place, and they don't know what's going on. What's up, Mr. Tristan? How you doing? Doing good. Vans are always better, Mr. Nut says. I love the Vans, man. The Vans, you can't. I just feel like I get so many of you guys that are like the Vans. The only time I liked the truck was when I had to answer the phone, and even now, I still would just. It's just you got to pull off the side of the road. I've done so many silly things, and the background noise. It's just so much better to either get us, have a secretary, or if you can maybe try one. I've never personally done it, but I was getting close where I was going to do one of the like is it Jill's office or something like that, where they'll answer the phone for you and they'll answer you in a certain way and ask certain questions, and then they'll kick them off to you, and say I can have somebody call you back with more details. That's not a bad idea. I just don't know. I don't know the pricing on it. Bro, I keep thinking I'm going to be like you someday. Tristan, I don't know if you want to be like this old man. Like I said, it's a lot of, sometimes it can be some bitterness in it, so that's why I'm always cautioning people, because in any kind of construction, it doesn't even have to be garage doors. Oh, and if you guys don't mind, if you're, here, if you click that like button, I'd appreciate it. But anyways, in any construction, I see this so many times that guys, it's a perpetual motion, right? Because you start thinking, oh, I gotta get, if I get that new scissor lift, it won't be broke down, honey. I almost think it's like sometimes it's like a lie to yourself. I know I've personally done it, and you all of a sudden one day you'll kind of wake up and you're going, holy crap, like I got all this stuff and I got all these payments, and now I got insurance on this, and I can't, man, times are getting kind of tough. I can't take insurance off this because now I still owe the bank on this. So you can get kind of in trouble, and it's just, And the thing is, there's so many things that are out of our control. It's not even funny. You know what I mean? Like I can't control the quality. You know what I mean? Like when you get doors that are all dinged and scratched and that. I mean, you know how gut wrenching that is when you're at a customer and they've been like, oh, you get some lady out there real nice, and she's like, I've been waiting, and I'm like, yes, yes. And then you install it and you're like, oh, ah, hi, Mrs. Jones. Yeah, the garage door is working great. It's got a big old dent and scratch across it. Oh, and then and it happens. And, the stress, like I think I've told you guys once, maybe a long time ago, about how I had this AMAR door and I was going across the state in a sense. And when I went to there to pick it up and then go to the next location where I was going to install it, they found me one last thing of paint. I was like, you guys got to have some paint. And they're like opening their drawers, like, oh, I can't find it. We used it all. And I'm like, you know why you guys use it all? Because everybody needs it. Because you guys always have scratch and dents on your stuff. Well, mostly scratch, not so many dents. And I was like, I need one. I need a fresh one, man. And they found me one, and I got to that job. And I remember this guy's like, he's hovering, right? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, man, I'm really excited about this garage door. And I'm like, yep. And I'm already far away, right? I'm probably I think I'm an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45 minutes away from the shop. And I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. Well, I started opening it in the trailer because I brung the trailer for some reason. And I look down and I can see there's paint missing. I'm like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? So I literally start stacking the door. I'm like holding them away from him. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get this. I'm like, why don't you go inside? I was like, I don't need no help out here. Like go inside, just enjoy a cup of coffee, like just go inside. And he's like, okay, I guess I will. But, I figured you want somebody to talk to. Nope, not really. I really just want to get this job done and get the heck out of here because I got to truck it another hour and 45 minutes back home. I mean, I'm running behind. I got customers calling me. And anyways, I'm worried he's going to come out. So I'm like underneath the sawhorses. I'm sitting there with touch-up paint. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Holy crap, there's one over here. And I'm touching up, and I'm flipping these panels, I'm stacking them, right? Because everything I stack, I'm waiting for him to come out the front door, and he's going to be like, oh, let me take a picture. Oh, hey, what the? There's something wrong with this, and then he's going to Hawkeye the whole rest of it. I literally get up to last panels. I remember I'm getting some stuff detailed, maybe doing the trim last or whatever, the vinyl seal. The wife comes home. She pulls in. She's a real nice lady. She gets out of the car. She goes, that door just looks so nice. And I'm like, sure does. I'm thinking it's got a whole bottle of touch-up paint on it. And I'm thinking, thanks a lot, Amar. Because this thing was just, every panel had rub marks on it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, thank God. Thank goodness I had the right touch-up paint because you can't use the wrong touch-up paint. I've done that before. That looks hideous. And this lady says, oh, it looks beautiful. And I went, if you would have came here and I stacked it without you, without touching up, you wouldn't think so. So there's a lot of variables that we don't think about. We see it, we do a couple jobs, whatever it is. We go, wow, we're making all this money. Yeah. Well, just wait till you have those bad days. Wait till the transmission blows out. Wait till you have a customer that, retracts the credit card on you or has a bounce check or a customer that owes you a lot of money. There's just a lot of things that, I didn't realize behind the scenes that are happening that start chewing and eating you alive. Nathan's, I plan on doing my own thing. He says soon. He says there are tips to save me. Like I said, if I looked at it, I would bank so much money now if I was, because when I was asking the wife, I said something about, I think I was asking about Bailey's question here, and one of her mentions were, she goes, I don't know. She goes, all I know is, she goes, if you're cheap, they will come. And there is no doubt about that, especially in my area. I always remember one time my mom told me, she goes, David, she goes, I'll tell you one thing about Muskegon. And she goes, it's cheap. And she was right. You know what I mean? And people love cheap. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things, like if you want your phone ringing off the hook, which would be unsustainable, then be cheap. But eventually you can't do that because it's just, you'll kill yourself, you'll burn yourself out. But if you're just starting out and you got much overhead, you can do that. I'm not saying it's the best, but there's ways, like, it's always normally how fast can you get here, how fast can you take care of my problem, and what's the price. And people will just sometimes overlook anything else. And they just go, how much? Holy cow, you're $40 cheaper than the other guy. You know what I mean? At $40, I can go buy myself a case of beer. Yeah, $40, I can go buy off how many scratch off tickets? You know, I mean, it's just, at least for this area, we've had a lot of people. My vendors always try to get us to sell high end doors, and I'm like, we don't have a market unless you're on the lakeshore. You know, it's just not enough. Like, people want function, for at least around this area. Oh man, that's cool. It's Dorel, if I'm saying it right. So learned a lot from you, brother. Great videos. So I started a garage door company 6 months ago, and I still have a lot to learn, man. Hoorah! Yeah, it's. I'm still learning to this day. To be honest, I don't know everything. You know, I know a lot to be dangerous, but I don't know everything, and there is a lot to learn. There really is, because every time you go down a different road, there's different potholes, there's different animals that want to come out and run in front of you and smash up your vehicle. There's different debris and nails that pop your tires. I mean, so it's a very big learning curve. And you know, like I said, you know, hey, I'm here for you guys. You got questions, you know, shoot me an email. I just say on the emails, like I said, if you can give me a little bit more details or maybe a little more specifics about what you're trying to ask to some degree, because I like sharing these. And obviously, if you don't want it to be shared, I respect that too. Just sometimes I take a little bit longer to get back to those, because I got to either work up something or I got to set up a time with you. And like, I know, like this week, the wife said the schedule. I think she's busy or something till like Thursday, and then she's got stuff for the weekend. And you know how it is. She's my better half, so she's busy. That means that's more workload on me. So it just stuff adds up. You know, especially when you got kids. You know, that's why if you're a young man starting out, it's a lot easier. But when you get the family, you get the kids they're like little bloodsuckers. You know, and they need your attention, and they need your love, and they need your money, and which is all good things. That's why, you know. Let me catch up here. Learn a lot. It says Nate. I think the biggest part is still being so. All right. It says I think the biggest part of your industry still is being able to think outside of the box and problem solving. Yeah, Nathan, there's a lot of problem solving. There's no doubt. Thanks, Rich, for helping me out with some of those gangsters. Yeah, problem solving is a really big thing. It's really life, business, you know. And I sometimes I wish, really, that more people ran businesses, because I think we'd be a lot more like-minded, right? Because now you're on both sides of the fence. But yeah, I was the same way when I was an employee. You know, why do these people ask me these silly questions? You got reliable transportation? You got driver's license? You got this? Do you got boots? Do you got, you know, what is this silly questions? And now that I'm on the other side and I hire people, I go, whew, you know, and it's like, you show up in flip flops and sweatpants and you don't have a driver's license. This is not going to work. And so, but the challenges, right? Because people can value or look at you and kind of go, "Oh, it must be nice. You got the building, you got the vehicles, you got this, you got all this stuff," and it's like, you don't even have a clue how this. Where this is my thing nowadays. I constantly look at people, and I'll never judge anybody, and say, you know, I've have to tell myself, don't say that. Where it's like, I go, that must be nice. You know, the guy shows up in a really nice car, has a really nice boat, whatever, and I go, that must be nice, and be bitter about it, because I know I don't go, that's not nice. I go, what did he sacrifice for that? because I don't know, right? All I'm seeing is a visual. All I'm seeing is this up front, like, oh, he's got this beautiful boat and he's got this, beautiful car, right? What did he sacrifice? The guy could be living, for one, I don't know what he's living in. I'm sure he's living in a pretty decent house. But how many hours? How many years? How much did he sacrifice with like his kids, never seeing his kids? What did he build? How much stress did he take on? Just things of that nature. You just never know. You just never know. What's this say? It says nowadays. What's Rich say? It says nowadays, if cell service would go out, this younger generation would be lost. That is very true. That is so true. Oh man. Oh, so it's Tony Molly. He says that's the part I love. Yeah, man. Oh, Cody says a curse word. I'm not gonna say a curse word. Come on, man. We got people. Like I said, I do occasionally, but most of the time I try to keep things clean. Like I said, there's kids watch all that kind of stuff. I got so many family members. Um, I got some nephews and stuff. And I was just telling my daughter today actually about it. How I said, look, I said nowadays on social media, I said everybody sees that stuff. I said you can't be doing certain things. And she's a great girl. She understands where I'm coming from. It's just I was talking about one of her friends. And I said, you don't want to do that because people judge on that. Get into printing, but our good Wisconsin automation quality won't even be down. Proud red breeding man work, but into our engineering. Oh, nice, nice. Look at this, man. He's going on town, man. Mr. Rich is just on him. Tony even got him. Darn. Don't install the Yoop then. Okay, I don't know what that is. Look at that. Look at you guys. Appreciate it, Tony and Rich. You guys are just whipping them out. Like I said, we'll see if this gets too crazy. I'll jump off because I know it gets pretty heated. The best tradesman is the guy that can fix it in the field when the problem arises. Darn, see, that's good. Is it Jed? J-E-D? Jed? That's true, man. And that's, a lot of people don't know that. And that's a lot of weight, man. That's like that saying I always say, it's good to be king, but the crown is heavy. And it is, man. And I love it in a sense because I know Cap that runs the place. He has these wonderful conversations with me, and he's like, dude, he's like this and this. And I'm like, oh, I get it, man. I get it. I totally get it because people just don't see how much, there really is. It's and that's why he runs the show because he doesn't give up. He's honest. He's trustworthy. He's not backstabbing. He's got that same attitude I do. It's like, well, we got to make this right, or we got to fix this, or we got to figure out a solution, or we got to do some research. Or he also, his big thing for me always, which I had to learn from him, is he goes, we should probably punt this one. I go, what do you mean? I go, no, no, no. I goes, and I've done a few jobs that he was like, I'm telling you, I think we should punt this one. And we get through halfway through the job or complete the job, and I go, man, we should have punt this one, or we shouldn't have done this job. Basically, I was like, because this turned out like crap, or not that it turned out crap. We didn't make any money. It cost us more money. It cost us more energy than what it was worth because we always follow through what we say we're gonna do, and none of our work ever that I can think of ever turns out bad because we're just not like that. We'll go on the negative before we make it bad. You know what I mean? That's just the type of people we are. Got to make it right. Oh, this is how you say that. Almost hit a deer last week. Ooh, ooh, man! I'm telling you. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I'm always like a big thing about, the traveling because every time I always think of like I go, when I was younger, I kept thinking, why do insurance companies charge you more on the car than like your own house? Well, the house don't move. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't go down the road. And you think about when you go down the road, especially me with an old man being with the gray hairs. I mean, I just was driving down the road today, right? And I had two people, I'm in the right lane, just cruising. I'm watching them. I already know what their intentions are. They think they see an opening, right? So it's, and I'm like, whatever. I see it in the stores all the time. I'm sure you guys experience it too. You go in the stores, people are so impatient and they're so rude. I mean, I lit up this girl's evening tonight. I just looked at her and I said, "Hey, so how's your night going?" And she's like, she's like, "Thanks for asking." And I'm like, it's going great." And I thought, God, when was the last time somebody said something to her? You know what I mean? Like, well, how's your, instead of just, how much is this? Or that's not ringing up the right, or she asks you and you're like, "Oh, I've had better." Like people don't like that. I mean, it's just, you ain't got to be like that. Kindness goes a long ways. It really does. I've had so many people give me discounts or coupons and they don't have to. I'm just going to be friendly. You know what I mean? And it's all about just controlling the mind, because I have bad days too, but I don't bring them on to other people. Like I said, I always tell everybody, I say, you might not be able to control the situation, but you can always control your attitude. And that's very, very true. So I always look at it like, you know what? It sucks, flat tire, hit a deer, it happens. But that's like I was saying, how you don't want to be any more on the road than you have to be. So when you're traveling, you got to be careful. You know what I mean? Because every time you go out, that's liability. That's a chance of getting in an accident. That's a chance of just anything. Flat tire, more wear and tear on the vehicles. What did I miss here? What's Mr. Josh got? He says, "Hey Dave, hope you are doing well." He says, "Still grinding." He says, "I keep checking with you later." He says, "Have a blessed week." Awesome. Hope you have a good week too, man. Don't forget, keep the fingers. It's like the one guy has told me, he says, "Don't stick your fingers where they don't belong," which I know sometimes it happens. It happens. Luckily, I smashed a finger up one time, finger and a thumb. But yeah, you got to be careful, man. So those deer's whistles, he says, that put on your car work. I don't know about those deer whistles, man. I've seen them up here in Michigan, and I've still seen some cars busted up. I know my grandpa, I think he even tried them one time, and he was notorious for still getting them smashed, And it was funny because years ago, he's passed away now, but somebody hit the pole out in front of the shop. I mean, smashed it, just obliterated it, right? Pole's taken off, it's hanging in the air, the wires are all dangling. And I came in, and one of my old secretaries, I said, "Dang," I said, "You see who hit that pole out there?" I said, "They wiped that thing out." I said, "It must have been over the weekend or something." And I was grabbing my paperwork and I was walking out the door, and she goes, "Oh," she goes, "Yeah," she kind of laughed. She goes, "That was your grandpa," And I was kind of like, as I was walking out the door, kind of like, was she making a joke? Was she serious? So, I'm at the job and I keep thinking about it. So finally I come back, and I'm like, "Hey," I'm like, "Why did you mention my grandpa?" She goes, "Well, no." She goes, "That was your grandpa." And I said, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, he must have been going down the road." And I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, my aunt lives down that way." And she goes, "Yeah, well, he's the one that hit it." And I went, "No way." I said, so now I'm like kind of in that mode where it's like, "God, I hope my grandpa's okay." And he was at that stage where he shouldn't have been driving. Another reason why I tell you, being on the road, hazards. So you never know. Let's see. Accidental paste, it says. Yeah, there you go, Rich. I love that. Those damn deers never crossed in the deer crossing. Oh man, I actually, the reason I was gonna come on, I was gonna do a live last night. I was up at the trailer. I was splitting wood, and I got done pretty much dark time, big time, and so when I ended up heading out, it ended up there was like, I must have counted like 12 deer. But I kept turning the corners, especially when you're on those back 2-track roads, you know how it is up in Wisconsin, Michigan, it's basically the same. And I turn, and there's 6 deer right in the road, right? As I turn, and I have my headlights in, and I'm like, "Come on, guys!" I'd beep on the horn a little bit, scare them off, and then of course, I'm doing about 40, 50 because I have personally hit a deer and it wiped out my little Blazer really bad. Took out the front corner, the hood. It swung around and hit the sides. I mean, so both it was a 4-door truck, Blazer, and both doors were smashed. I mean, it just totaled my vehicle pretty much. It seemed like at the time, especially when you're a young kid. And so I don't want to hit another deer, especially when it's at night and tow trucks and stuff like that aren't so much available. And I just, those deer, man, they can do some havoc. I know this year we didn't have that big of kill, I guess, in a sense. And so I was kind of like thinking to myself, like, those darn hunters, they needed to whack more because there's just too many of them. They're everywhere. Uh, yeah, I said my bad. Jerry says he says, hey, how's your day been going, sir? Today's been great. Like I said, it's been going really good. Like I said, business has been doing good. The guys are busy. Um, the weather, it changed a little bit. We were like 50 degrees yesterday, Saturday. That's why I was doing splitting and being outside because I love it when it's like in the 50s. It was great working weather. But today, bam, we went back to the old Michigan blizzard, it feel like a little bit. We're in the 30s, 32, with light snow. And I think we got this for a couple days, and late in the week it starts ramping up like a little bit, not, I think, in the 40s. So it's okay. At least we ain't got a foot of snow. We're not dealing with a bunch of salt. We're hopefully on that home stretch. I just hope a lot of this weird weather doesn't mess the farmers up and we get weird crops, and we got to hear it across the news how they've had horrible crops this year. And, right. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, nothing's going to change, right? Inflation. I mean, that's going to probably cause produce to go up. Imagine that. I mean, I haven't heard, I can't think of anything that's gone down in price. I can't. I just can't. I can't think of anything actually at the moment. I just seen the one people were saying their sewer bill is going up. I hear insurance. I see a lot of people insurance is going up. I hear a lot about the taxes. Taxes are going up. I'm like, what is going on here? Like this stuff is just still, then it's like if the Federal Reserve decides to, they keep saying we're going to have what 4 or 5 cuts this year at some point, and I thought, how are they going to do that? They cut those rates, man, it's going to get silly. And not that I like it where it's at, but of course, Rich says corn prices are down. Of course, right? Because that's for the blue collar man that needs to feed his family, right? He gets pennies, right? Isn't that kind of like the beef? Isn't that how they do it? Like the beef, what is it with the beef guys? They, like the cattlemen get crap, but the brokers in the middle get more, and then it kind of goes up or something like that. It's like, it's just so butt backwards sometimes when you think about it, how stuff is paid out when the people are really out there busting their heinies, So yeah, it says deer just want to ruin your day. That's for sure, man. Those deer, they just pop out of nowhere. They'll bust a vehicle up real fast. For me, it was 85 degrees. Oh my gosh. Jeez. That's short weather all day. What's up, Mr. Tanner? It says, if they just move the deer crossing signs to at least traveled area, like a school crossing area. Are you talking about that deer crossing video that from that lady on YouTube? Oh man, I might have to see that. Might have to send that to me, Tanner. uh, there you go. Jerry says he goes, I always farm. He says, get free corn. I tell you what, I could be wrong with this, guys. But this is what I'm thinking. This is what I've been thinking. It's a little off topic, I guess. Sometimes I think we're reverting back. I don't know if that's good or bad. It might be reverting back with a little bit of country swing or something like that. I don't know how to say it. A little bit of flavor because, for myself, I'm not eating out as much. I used to, fast food was quite a bit. You know what I mean? That was kind of the thing, right? Because when you kind of look at it, you're kind of like, what I can buy a meal for. I don't have to deal with the dishes. I don't deal with the mess. It's convenient. Maybe got a guy with you or something. But these prices, and I don't know if it's just my old age, and I know I'm not super old. I'm like going to be 41 soon. But I just keep going, dang. I go, 12, 13 bucks for fast food. I'm like, nah, I just can't. Like if we're probably in the 8, 9, 10, I think that's okay. But when we start getting, over $10, 11, 12, 13. I just kind of, and I know groceries, same thing, wife comes, whatever, groceries. I'm like, whew, man, and then it's like, this has gone up, the insurance gone up, it's like, I wonder sometimes though, I keep going like this year, I keep probably going to do I don't want to say like a massive garden, but I figured I'd do a garden and try to reduce some of that. Plus it's healthier. You know what's in it. Um, but sometimes I wonder if we've, like I think the industrial revolution, I think had like I feel like everything in life kind of has good intentions, right? Like uh maybe at one point when the government got involved with housing, let's just say, there was good intentions, right? Now people can afford a house, right? They got other programs, but then it just kept on growing and growing and growing and growing, and it got out of control. Maybe like student loan stuff, things were good, good, good. Everybody can now afford college or something, and then it went, it got boo, 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 and it got out of control because darn well if you took out a lot of this stuff that if you had to buy a car outright, prices probably would come down. If you had to buy a house outright, prices would probably come down. If you had to go to college 100% of your own money, you probably either wouldn't go, or you would you have to save your money, you have to get a job, you might go to it later in life. But anyways, what I'm saying is like we came from the a lot of our ancestors were on the farm. I think it was back in maybe it was the 50s when I was watching a video how they said that like 90% of people were farmers, or came from a farm. And I keep going, I don't think that's what they want because now it's turned into control. So I just wonder though if we're going to revert back a little bit where people are going to go, know what, I've had enough of this. Like I'm sick of not knowing what's in this or that. I'm gonna do my own. Like because what is it? Some of these others, what is it? These other states, like probably California, New York, they're having certain things where they're like they want you only plant a certain size garden, or they want to know about it, or you know what I'm saying. Like I keep wondering, it's like when's enough's going to be enough because it's just getting ridiculous. Like what are you supposed to do? I mean these kids and stuff. I just go these houses. What's the average? What's the lowest? About 400,000 for a home. I mean that's a lot. That's a lot. And then by the time you add higher interest, then you got to pay insurance. Ooh, ooh. Oof. Says, yeah, if they just, their crossings, always farm, get the freak on. Super funny. If you have not seen that video, anybody look it up tonight, would not believe she's as serious. I believe it, man. There's so much stuff nowadays that doesn't even surprise me. It's like, I don't know. The world's getting kind of goofy, isn't it? I went to a store today and I was like, I don't even really want to talk to people because I just saw it. It's like it's always a dumbed down something, or I get so many people that look at you. You ever feel like you got that presence? Like people look at you and they're like, hey, do you work here? And you're like, where would you ever get that? I got a Bob Evans hat and a brown. Like, where would you get that? You know? Well, you just seem like I got my own problems. You know. Youngsters. That's right, Rich. Those youngsters. Get after those youngsters. I gotta talk about Bailey's here. His email. He says, yes. He says, I'm like that. Wow. He says, only $2. He says, read the drink and sauce prices. And I'm like, yeah, it's weird because, so like, if my mom would ever go to, or sometimes the wife, if she was going to grab something for the kids, you know how that goes. She would stop maybe at McDonald's or something. And trust me, I know what's in McDonald's. It's nothing but healthiness. And anyways, it always bummed me because I used to get double cheeseburgers, plain. That was always my go-to because there's not really much else at McDonald's I really like. I like a sweet tea. I don't really like their fries. But I'll do a couple double cheeseburgers, plain. Maybe once in a while, if I got a bug up my, or a hair up my butt, I will do a Big Mac. But anyways, the double cheeseburgers, plain, cost more than a regular double cheeseburger. And I don't really like with all the condiments on it because it just, I don't know. I just like a, double cheeseburger, meat, cheese, buns. That's it. And it costs more. So I get like blowback now where it's like, I'm not buying that. That's more. I'm like, I don't even know how much more it is. It's probably like 10 cents. I don't know. Maybe 50 cents a dollar. But it's just one of those things like, it's kind of like with the sauces now, like everywhere you go, I think they charge like 24 cents at one place. It wasn't McDonald's, it's a different place, local mom and pop place, which I have no problem. I support them all the time. They do great customer service, great people. They know you by name when you walk in. I love it. I love it. They do great. They got clean. Everything's clean. They run a great operation. But anyway, it's like 24 cents. Because I remember my daughter, she was eating, and I knew she was going to run out. I was like, you want another sauce? She's like, yeah. But she's like, it's 24 cents. I'm like, whatever. Here, just go up there, get it. And I was like, 24 cents? I was like, that's coming out of your allowance, you know? So, yeah. Yeah, I'd say Rich, he says, I agree with Rich, man. Too many freebies. I tell you, if you could get rid of a lot of these freebies, you'd see so many people come out of the woodwork that we need to come work and do stuff. I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. Oh man. I that's why I think some people they'd be so much more educated to some degree that if they worked on the other side of doing business and they see how much gets taken, it's so sad. I mean, it literally breaks my heart to see how much they take from my employees, how much they take from the business. When I'm like, I'd rather invest that into the employees. How much? I mean, like nobody ever talks about double dipping. I mean, that's why I always look at it. I'm like, how do you, even me, I get a paycheck. How do you tax me on my paycheck? And then when I go to the store, I get taxed. Then in a car that I sell 20 times, gets taxed again, taxed again, taxed again. And then you got my property. I mean, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book was right. And I remember I wanted to throw that book away when I was a young kid. And it said the highest thing you'll ever pay in life is taxes. And I tell you what, now I look at it all the time. I look at the property tax. I look at the electric bill. Oh, it's got tax. Oh, but it's also got a service fee. It's got a recovery fee. It's got all these stupid things that, I mean, it's like, and I think they do this to make us like not question it. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Like I said, not an expert. Yeah. You are the young me. Oh man, like I said, I take that as a compliment. Thanks, Rich. uh, so Sam says, "Do you own a fence company?" So I do a little bit of fencing. I try not to do too much fencing, but we will do it for our certain commercial customers. If they have, I think, what did we do last year? Was it last year? I think we did about 800 and some change, right around 900 feet. We did for a customer, 6 foot tall, chain link. And then we did a year prior to that, we did a pound, it's whatever for dogs, basically animal shelter. We did wood and that, but the big problem is that when we did that job, we had the cough syndrome going on, and man, material was super tough, super tough. So it might have been a little long, like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know, because the cough syndrome was what 2020. I got it rolled up on a ceiling at a rental because I wrote COVID. The cough syndrome sucks, and I hope it never comes back. And I wrote my name and initials and phone number. So if somebody ever came across it again, they tear the ceiling down. They're like, "Oh, this guy, what is this? Let me Google this. What the heck's this guy even talking about?" Because, but yes, I do fencing. I do gates more or less, and we do garage doors and garage door opener, commercial, residential. We do it all. We used to do man doors, commercial man doors. We used to do automatic sliding doors like you see at your grocery store or at like Home Depot or the sliding, and those were a real treat, real pain in the hiney. So yes, I recently went to a restaurant, Jerry says, and their nachos were free. Their nachos drinks were also free. What? And great food for cheap. I'm definitely going back. Wow, that's crazy, man. Because I know even like our, those casinos. I'm not a big gambler, but my mom, bless her heart, she gets like the free rooms and stuff like that. She'll bring the kids up there, go swimming and stuff. So I'll go up there. I've actually never played anything gambling, and besides like scratch off tickets or something like that. But anyways, we go up there. Well, the big thing was they used to give you free pop and they would give you free popcorn, and they don't do that anymore. Now they charge you for the pop. I think you still can get free popcorn, but I think the pop they charge you for. And I was like, wow, the times have changed. But it's a little bit north. I mean, we get there's a lot of, I'm sure it's everywhere. We have a lot of freeloaders, unfortunately in this state. So I'm sure there's people taking advantage of it. I mean, yeah, I can only imagine. Let's see. That's why there's a cash price. Ooh, check price and credit card price, and of course, cash is always the cheapest hint. Hint. Yeah, that's Tony says that. Yeah, I like this tow truck guy. He's been around. He's been in business way longer than me, and I always try to like poke at these guys that have been in business longer, and I'm always like, I'm like, have things gotten better? Have things changed? And this one guy told me that he's since he's been running it, he's owned it for years, 40 years, whatever. And he said he had a lady that wanted to pay him with basically prostitution. And he said, honey, he says, there's only one gift you could give me. And she got all excited. And he says, that's a disease. He says, so no, I don't want it. And, but anyways, I told him one time, I said, how do you want to be paid? I said, you want credit? I'm here to make it convenient, whatever you want. And I still like the saying, he says, cash is simple. And I thought that's the way to say it right there. Cash is simple. Think about it. Cash is simple. It's not, unless it's fraud, somebody made bad dollars, $100, whatever, but it's simple. Cash is simple. And I see the things that say, we need to use it more and blah, 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 and it's 100% into our business and stuff like that. And I would agree. I'd agree to some degree. There is some beautiful things, and we should all become awakened to it. We really should, because it is. They're trying to get rid of it. And I like when stuff gets spun. It's it could be used for bad things or something like that. Whatever, all this other stuff, and I don't know. Like I said, but it's just how you supposed to ever, like a kid in a I know we don't have paper routes anymore and stuff like that, but how are kids supposed to learn with all this digital stuff? And it keeps stuff simple, and it's just done. How nice it is when it's just done. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry. I've been in business long enough. I've gotten checks, and it's like, I don't know about this. And you go to run it, and you don't find out for a couple days later until the bank sends you something in the mail, or something that says this one was no good, and you're like, well, who was it for, or whatever? It doesn't show you or something. So, like, pro tip, what I always do, we still do to this day, so it must have worked. I must have thought of something kind of ingenious. Is I always took copies. So every time we made a deposit, I had a copy of all the checks. I think we did. I don't know if we do front and back, but we at least do the front, because I don't know why, but the bank will just send us like an amount. They won't tell us like the name or anything, or sometimes they might give you some, but it's not enough. And so what I'll do is I'll go back and go, okay, well, it was in this deposit. And I'll go, okay. So for this amount right here, $231.38. Okay, who is that? Okay, that was this person. All right. And then I can go back and either find that person. I got their address typically on the check. I got them in my system, hopefully, should be. Their phone number, email, blah, blah, blah. Get on the phone. Hey, what's going on here? Oh, it's good now. Yesterday I put money, or I only get paid once a month. Disability, whatever it is, retirement. So, but that I don't know what it is, but having a copy of that check, man, really can save you. It gets you some more information, because It's like these places are just like, well, we got a problem. We didn't get paid, or we're not getting the money, or getting deposit for you, but we're not going to give you all the information. We're just going to give you like, there was a dollar amount out of your deposit that just couldn't process it, you know? And so you go find out, because we can't give information away, you know? So it's weird. Cash. This is Jerry. This is when I was younger. I was like, taxes can't be that hard. I honestly, my opinion on taxes, I think they make it so complicated. It's almost like, it's just so you don't even like, you just, whatever. You pay somebody, you pay it, whatever. I think about how many things in this world that still blow my mind, that I just think that how could we be at this, you know, so this is the way I look at it, right? I'm a man, you're a man, or maybe you're a woman. Mostly men here. I don't know how you run your house, but I try to make things simple. You know what I mean? Like, I like simple. I like logical, simple things. Like, I like the sprinklers to be on timer. I like the furnace to be on a thermostat. You know, like simple, like just simple, make it, you know, the KISS thing, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And I think all these years, my ancestors and my grandparents and the Senate and the House and the presidents and the Congress and the Republicans and the judges, and I look at some of this stuff and I go, we haven't came up with something better? Something more simple? Like, you know, like when they were going to do like taxes as like a flat rate, you know, like that sounds pretty simple. Let's just make it across the board. It's just one on, you know, on your income or something, not on all this other crap. But you know, probably in the long run, right? It's so they can make more money. They can make more off you, right? Well, we don't want to do that because of this. And I mean, it's just like I've slowly learned. It's becoming more known because of the internet. You know, it sounds like income tax was developed because of a war, and it just never went away. Oh, well, isn't that wonderful? And if you ever listen into I can't think of the president, but how he was temporarily suspending gold as a transfer of money or something like that. I'm not very good at remembering that stuff. It's in here, but it's like I can't bring it out. We're going to temporarily suspend that. Well, temporary, kind of like, remember when they told us inflation was kind of it was just transitory or whatever. You know, it's just temporary. You know, inflation. Boy, they got that wrong, didn't they? Whoo, doggies. I just don't. I just can't believe some of this stuff. But yes, taxes are very, very tough. Very. They can add up. They can whack you. What is it this year? Which I have no idea. I just read something from one of my buddies that's a business owner, and he says something about how they're, you know, you got to register your business this year. You know, by the end of the year, as you get, you're a naughty boy. You know, they know everything about us. Taxes, cash is simple. That's going to be a famous quote. There you go, man. Like I said, it's one of those things. To me, it was always, you know, some things that just always resonated with me, right? You know, you ever know how you're like, you're looking for nuggets and you know somebody knows better. So anyways, I've cooked eggs for years, right? I normally do scrambled. Sometimes I'll do over easy or something. And I was telling my wife, I said, my kid can make them better. And she goes, oh, yeah, I know why. I taught her. And I said, well, what's that? She says, well, she puts little slits in the yolk, you know, or in the white, and that helps it cook faster. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, I can never get it to, like, I like my stuff kind of a little bit crisp, and it doesn't the yolk in the center will not turn to be soft. Something simple as that. And she's like, yeah, she's like, that's how I do it. And I'm like, I'm 40 years old. And I'm like, I didn't know, you know, so keep it, you know, cash is simple. Keep it small, keep it all. I like that saying too. You got to obviously take it with a grain of salt, you know, keep it small, keep it all. My neighbor guy told me that, business owner. And I thought, boy, you know, that sometimes can resonate with me because at the time, you know, I think I had seven employees underneath me, and not including the secretaries and stuff, you know, and it was like, I was going bonkers. and I did over $1 million in sales, and I'm like, I got like, it says I got 30,000 profit. And I'm like, what is going on? My bank account says I got $16,000. I'm like, what is going on, dude? What am I doing wrong? And I wasn't following the numbers. And numbers won't lie if you do them correctly, but they won't lie. And you need to follow the numbers. Even myself, I always can do better. But if you sit there and but I was traveling too far. That was the biggest thing. I got too much time in a truck for a job that we're not being, by the time you start dwindling out, the guys are making, whatever at the time, $10 an hour when they should be making 20. And we needed to focus, closer to home. We needed a better demographic, or like, more the bigger cities instead of going out way out into these rural areas where there's just not as many customers. And the problem is, like, for us, we got these old Michiganders and they like to fix a lot of stuff on the cheap. Not nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it goes. So they typically, like the farmer that welded the garage door spring 3 times. I was like, dude. He's like, well, I figure it was like a car spring. He's like, it should never break, And I'm like, yeah, these do. And he's like, well, now I know, but that's why. And the door was just completely shot. So it's gonna be. I know I need to make. What I need to start doing is I need to start doing a merch. And I start doing like light bulbs will be the death of me. I need to do something like that. Keep it simple, or cash is simple. Keep it small, keep it all. I need to do some of those, and then that way I could sell them, because I want to wear them, because sometimes I just be like, "Why does your shirt say something about light bulbs?" I'm like, "Don't you say that word about light bulbs? Me and light bulbs don't go very good. You always provide light bulbs to those garage door openers, god darn it. Always. I don't care." Uh, it says I sent a message too. It says always take a picture. Hey, that's the way to do it too. Always take a picture of the checks. That's not a bad idea. Like I said, that works out pretty good too. I think I forget how they were always scanning them. The secretaries and all that, they do their own. They got their own thing down now. But I just remember when I was watching somebody, and I kept thinking, oh, still scanning those checks, eh? Like, I would lay them out on the printer, 3 or 4 of them all next to each other. So I didn't have to print a lot of them. And then you just do them kind of bulk. And then I always put them like in an envelope. For me, just so I knew that this deposit, these were part of that deposit. So in 2 weeks or whatever it was, when they come back, so there's just all these things. A lot of these things have kind of faded in my brain because I don't do them anymore. I got other people that do it. But man, I remember the struggle. The struggle was real. And that's why I'm always like, some of you guys, because I was there. I mean, I was starting out. We were, I remember we got behind a little bit, and then Uncle Sam, the I, the R, and the one that's like the S shape came into my piggy bank. I remember, into my bank account, and they like took out like $5,000. And they're like, we projected this is probably what you should have paid. And I was a little bit behind. I was out hustling really hard. I mean, I was grinding. We were just busting our hiney, making money. And all of a sudden, boom, I seen like this $5,000. I'm like, what in the heck? And I thought, who in the right gave you the rights to go in there and do that without no forewarning? And so that's when I realized that your bank account is just, it's so fake. You get credit cards, those are so fake. You get checks, those can be fake. Cash, the worst they probably can do is print you some fake money, which I have seen. So maybe you want to get a marker. That's not always a guarantee. Most of them now you can look at the light. People know how to tell. But the cash is about the most guaranteed. But the credit cards, oh, you got a fee. Oh, it's a credit card. They pulled the money. Why'd the money get pulled? I've had that before where I was trying to. I remember it just shows me amount. It says we pulled this money until further like evaluation, and I'm like, what? So I had to go back and look through my things at roughly that date. I found a number that matched, and I contact the guy, and the guy's like, oh, I thought you were a storage unit or something. And I'm like, no, it said Muskegon, and we're in Grand Rapids. And he goes, I thought it was a fake. I'll send you a check. And I thought, yeah, right. This guy's yanking my chain. And of course, he's 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes away from me. So it's not like I can just drive down the road and get the check and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because I've also had people send checks in the mail and the checks get lost, or they didn't send them, or they do the Houdini or whatever, right? So it's like at that moment when he told me that, I wanted to literally be like, why don't you write that check? I'll be at your doorstep in, an hour and 15 minutes. But he's too far away. And so I was like, all right. And he did send it. So it was good. But what a headache, man. And what really got me too is I had the machine, I had the print and slip, I had a signature from him, and the credit card company automatically just pulls the money. Are you serious? What's the point of getting the signature and crap? You know what I mean? Like, what, am I wasting my time? Like, I mean, I don't know. That's right, Mr. Rich. Flat tax, flat tax, flat tax. I think we should do a flat tax too. I think we should just make things simpler. Is the key to success, man. Heck yeah. This is what Mr. Jerry says. Sometimes it really is, man. I tell you, just keep it simple. Simple sometimes, like I said, if you're young, I made the mistake. I know, when things were really good back in the old Clinton days, as the president, I remember, spending tons of money. And you can buy a lot of stuff. I keep telling my nephew, I keep teaching my kids, don't do that stuff. You know what I mean? Don't do it. Just, make your money, make baby money. And don't get into that debt. Because, once you get that car, right? You get that car that you think, oh, it's going to make me just so much better or whatever. Now maybe you got a car payment. You got to pay insurance on that thing. We've all been there. I mean, and then there's nothing worse that you got to sell it on a fire sale. You're going to take a $5,000 hit because you just can't afford this. Things are going in the wrong direction. That's right. The gold standard. That's what Rich says. The gold standard. I've been an egg sandwich guy. Nice. Just toast with fried egg. All right. All right. This doesn't sound too bad, actually. What's Jerry say? I understand. I'm really, what does it say, sucky? I tell you what, they can sure drain your bank. That's for sure. I could not believe, I still remember the garage. We had two desks, right? One was for my business partner. One was for me, up against the wall in my garage. And we had computers on there, and I think we had a little bit of material behind us. And I still remember I came in, I seen that, either I was in the bank account or something, or I got a letter. And I was just so irritated because I've had this happen numerous of times that these jack wagons will come into your. I've had it with a credit card. I had it with I'll say it backwards, the SRI. I've had them come in and pull money, and I'm like, hello. I'm like, how do you pull money out of my personal or my business account? How do you do that? Like, how do you do that without consent or anything of like, hey, we had a problem? Or just like the one time I had the one for the credit card, and that I went to see the accountant for some reason. And she goes, oh, I seen that money was taken out. She's like, I was wondering what that was for. And I'm like, they already took it out? I'm like, I just got the letter today. And she's like, oh, yeah, that was taken out like 3 days ago or something, or a week. And I'm like, because they do it, because obviously if you're shady, they don't want you, pulling the money or whatever. But man, it's like, hey, man, I'm trying to run everything as clean as I can. And you just all of a sudden, just come in, and take that. What if I got a delivery? What if I got a Wayne Dalton or an Amar or a Clopay delivery coming? I needed that $5,000 to pay for that delivery. So that's why you got to also think about having some capital, because you can get kind of big, or too big for your britches, and it can happen real quick, especially if people start gaining wind, or you're doing stuff. And that's always kind of one of those things, like if you're just everything's saying yes, you're probably too cheap. You need a little bit of blowback, where and I kind of like it. I like when people are like, you're da 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 da, and I'm like, oh, can I see the other person or something, bid or something? Oh yeah, okay. Aren't they priced? Well, here's the thing. Well, for one, they're not using the same thickness of our value or something, blah blah blah. But no, I'm not trying to convince you or change your mind. Just want to know. I always look at it like this: if you're gonna waste my time, I want a little bit from something from you. That's how I look at it. Like, even if I don't get the job or whatever, I want some intel. Like, well, why'd you call us? Or why'd you end up using them? I'm just curious. Well, they had a cheaper this and that. Can I see it? Like, like, when they say they're going to be able to get it done for you? I'm just curious, you know? Stop talking bad about the SRI. I'm a big fan. There you go. I like mattresses. Show the money on your mattress. Oh man, Mr. Bro, how's your day? It's going good. It's going good. Like I said, probably give it another. Oh, like I said, I'll go to about 11 o'clock, and then the old body's got to try to get some rest for the next day. So, I'm gonna just mention a couple things. I had the notes here. I just want to kind of mention them for Bailey, because I didn't have a lot of details. Like I said, another reminder: if you guys send me an email, just give me a little more specifics on where you're at, money wise, trucks, vehicles, cars. But anyways, I had on here too for him, beginning of the video. Possibly. I know it seems like against the grain, but you might want to work for another garage door company. I tell you what, if somebody walked in my door right now and they said, hey, they tell me their real intentions, and they say this is what I'm trying to do, or this, I'd gladly welcome that. Now, I don't mind paying, but obviously I'm not going to maybe pay full price. But if they came in and they were like, you know what, I even just want to either do it like, when I got certain days off, maybe do it free, which, see, for me, if I was going into somebody, I wouldn't mind doing it for free, because I know college is not free. So for me to go in there and for somebody to take the time and just have me hang around in any, like, like concrete, or if I was doing, like, if I wanted to get into tree service or whatever it is, I don't know, roofing, whatever. For me, like, hey, I'll be a helper. Like, I want to be around it, because I tell you what, there's just something about when you physically touch things, right? You slice your hand up a little bit, right? You get, oh man, that metal cuts. Or you got to wear the gloves, or you get to be around, and you start kind of, ooh, you know what? Maybe this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. Gosh, this is some hard, like, one thing that never crossed my mind about garage doors that I still look at to this day is how many times you have to handle a garage door. God darn, man. You think about when it's manufactured, to when it goes on to a semi, to when it goes to a distributing location. Man, that garage door gets handled a ton of times. Tons. And then you got to unload it from a semi. You got to put it in your shop. You got to put it back in a service vehicle. You got to take it to the customers. You got to unstack their door. You got to take your door, put it in the sawhorse. Then you got to take it off the sawhorses and you got to install it. Holy crap. Like, still to this day, I'm always like, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for that semi to pull up where it's like got this weird contraption, or like, we're going to unload it for you. And I'm always like, if I was a truck driver, I always told myself, I went, if I was gonna do truck driving, I'm like, one job I will not do is be working for a garage door company, because everything, these poor guys, I watch these guys, they don't send two truck drivers because it's too expensive. And some can be, I've had one, who was it? It was Amar, actually. Amar was the worst. Amar, the guy shows up in his full semi. We're doing a fire bar. And I remember the guy, I had my stepdad with me, and I was expecting the driver to at least bring him to the end of the semi, and we would grab them and put them inside the building. Oh no. He hands me the paperwork and he goes, let me know when you're done. I'll be in the cab sleeping. And I'm like, are you serious? So we had to climb up, and of course, our door is like the last stop, pretty much, maybe the second. Because I know there was other stuff on there. And we had to pull that stuff all the way on the semi up to the front. Holy crap, man. We're so beat, already walking up and down the semi, looking at the paperwork. Now you got to concentrate, making sure you're trying to get the right stuff, right? And then you have to climb down off the semi, and then you got to pull it off the semi. So that's what I mean. Sometimes you might look at it and go, oh man, they're doing, it's probably like me with HVAC, right? HVAC, the plumber, they make so much money. And then you see the stuff, the poopy, stuff drains they got to deal with. They got to crawl into the houses, HVAC, they got to climb up in those hot attics, the installation, I mean, just all kinds of stuff. And so if you could get around it, I think it would help you so much. Another one, because I didn't have a lot of details, do you have any space for the inventory? like I said, it's kind of one of those things. If you're living in an apartment, it's gonna be kind of hard to run. Install box store. I think I already mentioned that. Install box stores. Basic tools. What do you got for tools? You know what I mean? You gotta have some. You gotta have winding bars. You gotta have some impacts and drills and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I keep thinking. I don't know if I should do this. Somebody should email me or something, or tell me, or I don't know, give me a thumbs up or something. But I'm thinking about making it to go pack because I know I've always wanted one. And I thought about making it to go pack. So it have all your tools in it, the basics. I probably do I do some different levels. But you have like a to go. I think I might do it out of a Milwaukee pack because they're sealed. So you can throw it in the back of a truck. You could use it in a van. You could use it just in the back of a trunk of a car. But it's basically, it's got some basic winding bars, it's got the wrenches, because, these things take a tremendous amount of time to find. At least the ones I like. I like using like some gear wrenches. I like using certain Allens. I like using certain screwdrivers. I like certain winding bars. Uh, there's just, I have to go like normally I have to go to Lowe's, I have to go to Menards, I normally have to go to Home Depot, I have to go all these stores. Some of the stuff I have to order offline, some of the stuff I have to order from Service Spring, the ruler, the gauges for checking springs. But I keep thinking about making like a to go, like here's a to go bag. I don't know how much it would cost. It could be anywhere from $300, $600, $800. I don't know. But I thought about, man, I've had it so many times in my business where I thought about, you know, when I have to build a new service truck, I'm always like, jeez. I'm like, it takes me so much time to go through and get a whole list. I thought about doing like a bucket version too, because we use a lot of buckets in the vans. Those work good, but the buckets don't work good if you have a pickup truck, or it's going to be out in the elements a little bit. So, like for me, I carry a Milwaukee one because I can throw it in anything. If it's just in a little, little box truck or whatever I got, it's if it starts raining, man, how's your day? This is making my own company. It says what it says marking my own company. Marketing? I think it's marking. My own company about wood cutting. Got a long ways to go. Well, that's pretty cool. I always like wood, man. I tell you what, I'm a wood guy. I love, you know, um, it all takes time. But I'm 29 years old, self turning 30 next 5 months. Oh no, injured myself. Oh man, gotta. Mom always says, man, if you ain't got your health, you ain't got nothing. You gotta always take good care of the body. That's for sure. This is my sister is a true jerk. She's a bad driver. Oh, I see Tony wants to whack somebody. Or, oh, Tony's yours must have got, I don't know why it says yours been retracted. It must be modifying it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate uh, Tony and Rich if I missed you, I appreciate you guys for definitely help meteor. What am I trying to say? I don't know. Be a mediator in the messages. That really helps. So I think Tanner is going to be one. If I don't have Tanner on there, Tanner's going to have to be one here shortly because he's a good dude too. What's your favorite tool brand? Oh man, the tool brand is kind of like, do you like blondes or do you like brunettes? You know what I mean? I don't really. I'm a very neutral. So I wanted to stick with something that was kind of high quality and had a lot of options. So I went the Milwaukee just because at the time we were big DeWalt guys. DeWalt was just easy to find, easy to purchase around here. The box stores had them. I could get them offline, which was really nice and convenient. So everybody was DeWalt. And then I found out that the best thing to do was to change everybody up because batteries kept getting mixed up, especially when we get to big jobs. When we would do commercial jobs, it just never failed. I'd always grab like a battery, later on, a week or 2 days later, or something, be like, this is not my battery. Like, this thing's not charging worth of crap. And the problem is what I ran into as being a owner is that for me, my stuff has to be, not that it's not that the guys are not important or anything like that, but I have nobody to call. When I'm working 6, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I have nobody to call. I need my stuff to be at the most top of its performance. Like I need my batteries charged. I need good batteries. I need good power tools. So it just irritated me when my stuff got mixed up. Or somebody even asked me, and they'd be like, "Did you get my charger? Because mine does this or does that." And I'm like, "Yeah, take a look." Or somebody would grab too many batteries, and I always try to keep 4 batteries on every vehicle. So, anyways, we switched it up. So we had Makita, this, Ryobi. Ryobi, I know it's kind of joked upon, but obviously, if you're starting out, Ryobi don't look bad. They got a lot of options. My biggest thing when I'm always looking for power tools is I'm always looking for who has actually a nailer for trim. That was always the caveat. Because not it's changed a lot now, but back in the day, it was hard to find a trim nailer. There was really the only one I knew at the time was DeWalt. Um, they were the only ones that had the trim for putting up your weather seal on the outside. So it was like, like you buy, here's, whatever rigid or cobalt or whatever, but they don't offer a trim nailer. So, it always threw it off. The guys, now I got to have DeWalt, now I got to have, whatever. Um, so I looked at the trim nailer. That's how I decided who I was going to go with. But it just depends on kind of what your budget is. Like I said, DeWalt's good. I'm I'm Milwaukee now because, like I said, we were using DeWalt. I didn't know of any other brand that was up in that category, so I went Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got problems too. You know what I mean? They got ghost in them. They're pricey. I think you're kind of paying a John Deere price versus a maybe a Case or whatever else is out there. Um, but it just keeps them coordinated with color because I've tried so many things with color in them, with painting them, with engraving them, and that just takes so much time out of your life, especially when you start getting employees and you're just so yeah. Mechanic says I went DeWalt. Like I said, Cap uses DeWalt. DeWalt. I mean, like I'm kind of bummed right now. I'm like DeWalt's got that power washer and Milwaukee doesn't. And I'm like, God darn it, I want that little power washer that's battery powered because I have certain little jobs that I just need a little burst of power, and I don't want to get out the big machine, and so I'm like, God, when's Milwaukee coming out with theirs? And then like DeWalt when they had the power pack, I still like the DeWalt power pack. It's still hanging out underneath there somewhere. There it is, right there. It's just chilling there. I love that power pack. That power pack is awesome. The guys use it. I don't use it. I use the Milwaukee one now. I just don't like it. I don't like it's bulky. It doesn't beep. I thought I didn't like. I thought, oh, I like it. It don't beep because if I took it out hunting, it doesn't go beep when it turns on. But I was out in the field with it a couple days ago, and I'm trying to use it. And I'm like, is this? The sun's real bright, and I'm like, is this thing on? And it's not beeping or anything, and it works. It does the job, but I don't know something about that power pack. Probably because that one has 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it only has 4. I thought it had 5 power or batteries on it, but I don't know. That one's lighter. There's just something nicer about it. So it's hard to find the perfect everything, right? It's like trying to find the perfect vehicle. You buy a work truck, it ain't a sports car. You buy a sports car, it ain't a work truck. You buy a truck, it ain't a van. You just need to be a multi. Nowadays, yeah, you might as well you got to be a trillionaire, and then you just have any vehicle of your flavor. You got 200 and some sitting in the driveway. You just decide what you want to take that day, and you're probably not going to be installing garage doors, but uh, always. Rich says I always initial your batteries. Honestly, it's 2. It's not bad. It's not a bad idea now I think of it because when Rich brings that up, Rich always has such good points. It's really not bad just to do it across the board because in case you have a rogue employee or somebody takes something home, or that was one thing I always was a little bit nervous too, that if I went somewhere, because sometimes these guys, they do some weird stuff. They'll bring their own truck or something in, right? And they got some tools, and you're always kind of doing hey, whose battery really is that? You really went and bought the $250 battery, the 12 amp or 12-hour milliamp, whatever. Did you really? Or is that mine? So I think Rich is right. I think in a nutshell, you should all the power tools, even if you're going to diversify them like I was, it wouldn't hurt to still initial them because initials do seem to stick. And that way, if you ever, you come across one that's ground in a certain spot or something, you're like, that seems a little suspicious. But like I've painted them and they look gaudy and ugly, and the paint peels off. And I've had some that you couldn't even see the paint anymore. But the initial ones, I still got some old DeWalt ones to this day that still got the old initials on it. I put the truck they went into. That's how I was. I was like, I'd put 94. I put 94 Ranger on there, so I knew they went to the 94 Ranger. But some initials or something to indicate that it's yours, just in case you ever have to, deal with, cops or anything or theft. Or it is nice to know. It is nice to know because they add up, man. I mean, you think about it, like what, 3, 4. We got 4 or 5 sets right now. I mean, and every one is God. Power tools are expensive. I mean, they're just. So I think Rich is right with that. Copay with bad for sending one driver. We didn't have a DOT where we were the first stop. I always had to get my A-frame ladders, 10 foot or 8 or 14 foot. It was a pain in the butt. Heck yeah, man. That DOT stuff is weird. It's like I think for Michigan we got like it's over 10,000. So that's why I think it was confusing because my uncle always was like, "You need DOTs," and I'm like, "We never got busted. We never got trouble with a DOT or dot. Don't have a dot where we were the first stop." I might be a little off on that. Sorry. So I used to use Sears, Craftsman's, trim nailer, battery, the 20 volt. God, it seems like those things were bulky. If I remember the 20, I can't. Anything that was Sears or Craftsman was always like kind of bulky. I just always remember the DeWalt's. I still got some. The little boogers won't die. That had the belt, and I still never. You know how it's like, don't put stuff out in the universe. And I remember we were at a job, and of course we're up too far. It's an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 45 minutes one way away. It's out in the boondocks. It took forever for us to find the address for this place. Dirt road, 2-track. We get there. We're getting the job done. Well, another contractor shows up. I don't know if he's building a deck or something. Anyways, he sees us using a trim nailer. Bam, bam. He's like, whoa. He's like, what is this? Now, this is quite a few years ago. We're like, oh, it's just a trim nailer. What? He's like, no air hose? You don't have to bring an air compressor on. I'm like, I know. This is pretty sweet because that was the thing I used to bring an air compressor and nailer. It sucked, because then you have to find power too. So sometimes you work on, garages that are disconnected. They don't have power. They're just hand operated. So you have to fill up the air compressor at the house or whatever, bring it over and pow and the hose and all that. Oh, what a mess. And it's heavy. So when DeWalt came out with that one, it was great. And so he's like, dude, and my business partner's like, I know it's sweet, works good, blah, blah, blah. He's giving all these things about it, right? I kid you not. We're on that job. I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I'm hearing like this, what the is that? Pump. Darn thing quits working. It shredded the belt inside of it. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, we don't have a backup. We barely have trim nails to finish this job out because we don't carry them anymore. This nailer's been so reliable. And I'm like, oh, it's one of those just hot summer days. And you're just like, I just want to leave. You know what I mean? And we got all the cardboard that we still got to clean up and shove into the back of a little Ford Ranger that doesn't fit. So that's why I like those service vans, because they're a lot more roomier and you shove your crap in. You're like, let's go home. I need to take a shower and a poop and I got to get something to drink and then I'll worry about this. And so, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, he just said all these good things. And we were like getting ready to leave. And the guy's like, oh, you guys have a good one. It's like, you wouldn't believe it. It's like this nailer just took a crap. He's like, oh, man, that sucks. And it's like, and I'm sitting there like, I'm looking at a business partner. I'm like, if you wouldn't have said nothing, we wouldn't have had this. Don't say nothing good about this nailer again. Was I mentally insane? 3. I don't know. Awesome. Good day. Awesome. When I was a Peterbilt tech, I always initialed everything. I don't even know where my initialer went. That's a bummer too, because I know it's around, But I was the same way when I had, because I used to work at Penske. I used to backside of Kmart. Many of you guys know what Kmart is. You know what Kmart is? There used to be a Penske on the backside of it where they do automotive oil change and stuff like that. And so I remember I initialed, you just initial all your tools and stuff. I mean, especially when you spend, whatever, $60, $30 on a hand tool back then or whatever. And I mean, it's just like, that's expensive. You don't want to lose it, and you want everything to be, it's going to last a long time. Oh man, see, that's another one. See, Rich, you got a lot of good ideas. That's right. Always date the batteries. I do that too, because I've gotten sick of always the mind game, because I've had batteries and they'll play, once you start getting multiple batteries, they'll play mind games on you. You'll start realizing this one's not working so good, or it's not charging as good, or it's just something's going, and you're like, you know how it is, right? Didn't I just buy this last month? Well, if there's a date on it, that helps a lot, because now you're like, oh shoot, man, this thing's like 3 years old. I use this thing every day for, it's had a good life, you know. And you can also just start learning a rhythm with them too, because I've had that where it's like, man, these things aren't lasting like they should, or this one does, or so maybe you want to start using a different brand or go to a different manufacturer. So yes, thank you, Rich, so much for bringing that up, because I actually date. I don't think I've dated my personal ones that I use, but I dated all the old DeWalt's that we had, because I just have old ones and new ones, and it's just nice. It's so nice to know a date. I actually date everything now. If I get something new, like don't tell the wife, but there's a date on the back of the dryer now because we got a new dryer. Date everything, because I love coming at something, and if it's gonna break on me, and I go, well, geez, it lasted 30 years. I think it's due for a belt. But if I look at it and I go, it only went a freaking year and it blew the belt off on this thing? This is bull crap. So I date everything. I date the furnace. I date hot water tanks. Date it all. Date it, because you'll never regret it. I about guarantee it, because you're always going to look back and go, I installed that, back then. Or any notes is always a great idea. Just like when somebody leaves you the instructions or the purchase, that's cool too. I just seen somebody at one of the houses. They had the purchase date of and how much they paid for it, with the receipt for a hot water tank, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's not a bad price, and they got it from Lowe's, and oh, that was back. Oh shoot, I thought this thing was actually older, and it's not. So that's super, super good. That's right. The blue light special, Rich. Remember the blue? I remember when I was in Kmart, they used to do that. They had the blue lights, the blue light, and they used to have the advertisement of that light bulb. I think it was a light bulb. The blue light special. Come on in, and every 15 minutes or something is how they advertise. I can't remember. I'm getting old. That's why. What's his name here? He goes, my dad does that. I'm probably old enough to be your dad. That's what you're saying, aren't you? I knew it. I knew it. Let's see if I got any more in the notes. Anywho, I think I'm gonna hop off, you guys. I really appreciate you guys helping out. Like I said, if you got anything business, you guys are always more than welcome to email me. And somebody got my number. You can always text me, pictures, anything, whatever. If you think it, don't worry about it. Like I said, you're never going to disturb me, because my phone's always on silent. And so I look at it and I address it when I can. And oh, Mr. Sky Overhead, what are you doing? You just hide in the background? Jeez, Mr. Sky Overhead. Cheers. That's right. The blue Mars light. Mars light? Is that what it's called? I might have to look up tonight on YouTube. I might have to look up some. He goes, "Yup." Sounds like something my nephew would do. I've been sitting here the whole time. I just been eating my popcorn. Oh man, it's buy a subscribe. Awesome, man. That's cool. Like I said, become a subscriber. And if you don't mind, like I said, hit the thumbs up on the way out too. And I'm happy for you guys. Thank you guys for the ones that were deleting some of the messages that were getting out of hand, because it seemed like it at least controlled it where it wasn't getting too wild. Did for a little bit there. And old Rich and Tony, they started pounding them, man. So I appreciate that, you guys. All right, I'm gonna go try to get some sleep. My body needs it. Like I said, I was splitting some wood Saturday, so I'm still beat up pretty good. I'm just not as young as I used to be. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful night. Take care. Keep all your fingers. We'll see you on the next one. Hopefully, the next one will be possibly with the wife. We'll bring the wife on. She'll do some talking about salesmen and commission and some of the stuff we've tried and not worked and some's not worked. So the time flies. That's right. See you guys.